Get ready for chills and thrills at Hometown Haunts and Hops Horror Convention here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Join us for a spine-tingling day of horror-filled fun on October 28th at the Mayflower Brewing Company. Meet horror actor Matthew G. Taylor from Resident Evil and dive into a macabre world of cinema and literature. Sip on chilling brews, indulge in ghastly treats, and immerse yourself in a haunted atmosphere. Whether you're a horror buff or just seeking an unforgettable experience, Hometown Haunts and Hops has it all. Don't miss out on the eerie excitement. Secure your tickets now by heading on over to inebriart.com. Go to our events calendar, and in October you will find the link for Hometown Haunts and Hops, which is sponsored by HalloweenNewEngland.com. HalloweenNewEngland.com is the website for the truly Halloween obsessed, with the most extensive guides to New England haunted houses, ghost tours, classic horror film screenings, jack-o'-lantern festivals, haunted hayrides, and more. They've got all the thrills covered throughout September and October, with over 2,500 Halloween events on their events calendar and hundreds of local Halloween attractions. It's the only place you'll find everything from haunted history tours and costume contests to which haunts are open on Thursday nights. HalloweenNewEngland.com has your Halloween covered and is sponsoring Hometown Haunts and Hops this year.
And said, here's the reason why I wanted to read it. Weymouth.
Oh.
Okay.
Weymouth.
And then I quote Dale Carnegie a lot in the book. Dale Carnegie. Dude, how do you not know who Dale Carnegie is?
I love anytime I'm using GPS and it gets like Acacia Pond is a really good one. It's like turn on to Acacia Pond Road.
Yeah.
Well, like how people are stored in my phone when they text, they pops up on in your car, and it's like, I think Carl is under like Carl Heaney.
Oh, like it says their name?
It says their name, yeah.
So, Charlie, who's a regular over at the British Beer Company, was giving me his number, and I put it in. And everyone in my phone is almost always sorted by some sort of code, so I know who they are.
Who's who? Yeah.
And so I put him in as Charlie BBC, and then I'm like, someday someone's going to go through my phone and find Dirty Angela, Filthy Walter, and Charlie BBC, and be like, what is this guy doing?
He's one of those people.
Yeah.
For you, my friend.
Awesome, thank you.
Look at that. Got souvenirs.
But hold on, there's more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Andy never gives me free stuff.
I know.
I give you free thing once. Didn't I give you a shot glass?
I never got anything free from you.
Didn't I get a shot glass?
No.
Oh, they probably came in before you were like part of the show.
Do
you want a shot?
I don't have anything from you.
Do you want a shot? You have my love.
That's clearly not.
Did you return that?
Yeah, I know. I want a refund.
It has no cash value.
It has no value of any kind.
So welcome to the Bar Talk podcast. I am your host, Andy. This is very natural.
Yes.
This is one of the best openings ever.
Right?
Yeah.
It's because Carl's not here.
Yeah. And that voice you're not hearing is Carl Heine. But we're here, as always, with Jess Hamill.
Hello.
New World Tavern. Dan Mahoney of Stats of South Boston.
More of traffic.
More traffic.
More traffic.
More traffic than traffic report.
Traffic on the night. Yeah. And we're here with Neil Rogers, of author, former bartender, local of the New World Tavern. Mm-hmm. We were talking about bands and music and whatnot prior to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be here.
So, you came to our attention because you have a book, Bar Tips.
Correct.
And so we were chit-chatting a little bit before. You used to be a bartender.
Yes.
Back in the day, and you almost said you claim. It sounds controversial, but you say that everything you learned or you need for sales, you learned from bartending.
Yeah, it was
in the book.
Yeah, it was in kind of a retrospective gig during COVID, trying to keep myself from losing my mind. Guy said, you should write a book. And I said, what am I going to write on? And started thinking, I had always written like little ditties on this, that, and the other thing, and certainly about my experiences as a bartender, and my experiences growing up and the like. And my daughter was being, fast forward, my daughter was being honored at a chamber event.
Yeah.
Right? You know how they get the chamber's got an award for everything?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, she was one of the people to watch under 30.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is about right. She's 34 and she's retired, so it's all good. So I guess they were right.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so the guy who was the keynote speaker at the event was a guy who brought Five Guys burgers to New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
And so so as point of context, my wife, who I am in my life partner and my business partner, we met when I was a bartender at Tia's in Boston, and she was a food waitress.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's an unlikely pairing. I promise you that.
They pair a lot for them to work out.
Well, it's been 36 years, so I guess it's been all right. But the self-absorbed, obnoxious, going nowhere bartender hooks up with I got all my shit together, but my master's in math. Anyways,
the yin and yang.
But it's work. And we have a lovely family and a lovely life and all that. And so so this guy gets up and he says, and we're all familiar with it because we've all done pre-meal or pre-game of sorts or whatnot. What's 86? What's the special? What are we looking for? Who's playing in the back room? Right. Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
This guy's speech was, we're not in the burger business. We're not in the fry business. We're not in the soda business. We're not in the shake business. We're in the hospitality business.
Right.
I looked at my wife. I said, I've never left bartending. I've been bartending on the road for 30 some odd years. Yeah. Because the simple things are what wins, and that's the simple things, the cordial, the light, the golden rule type things win as a server, as it does as people in the field selling selling whatever they're selling. So the tips are very simple. There's no complex marketing theory in there. As a matter of fact, I always tell this story. So in our business, I did a lot of business with New Balance. And so,
where's Carl?
Carl 6. I see Carl 608s all the time. Let's get in. I gave up 608s when about 20 years ago.
Yeah, you should have too.
And so, do you know? I think it was across the street here. There's a bakery somewhere around here, right?
There used to be
one right
Okay,
across the street,
they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
I went in there one day, and it was a Father's Day cookie, and it was an image of a 608 on there.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, we see this weird guy walking down the street all the time. We might as well make a cookie named after him.
But the thing is that it's about the simple things, as I was saying, and as an example, the importance of a proper greeting. Now, I don't know if everybody's been in a Home Depot. Remember when they came to town?
Home Depot.
I've never
There it is.
I didn't even say anything.
All right. But do you remember when they first came to town? This is years ago.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they first came to town, you could walk through those doors and there'd be a sea of people in orange aprons ready to help you.
No, I
Right?
can't find one.
Where are you going? What's your project? How's your budget? Let me take you over there. Here's the good. Here's the better. Here's the best. What's your budget again? And we go back, and they go back and forth. And then you'd settle in on something that would work. Now, you walk through the door, they're hiding on you. Or if you go and ask somebody a question, they're in the wrong section. And I'm not a DIY guy to begin with. So if I need the help.
Right.
So quite simply, I stop going there, and I go to the local guy.
Yep.
The Charlie's Hardwares of the world in North Plymouth. And guess what? As a matter of fact, in Charlie's Hardware, the last time I walked in there, I was looking for a plunger. Because in our place, I don't know how we've been without a plunger, but we haven't had a problem. So we guess we no
You don't need one, you need one.
Exactly. So I come walking in. There's this walking in the back door there, right at Charlie's. Walked in the back door. There's somebody behind the counter. Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm going. I said, yeah, I'm looking for a plunger. He takes me over to the plunger. He shows me this one for $19.99, this one for $12.99. He said, I said, what's the difference between the two? He goes, $8. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
The kid was 14 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about getting it out of the gate.
Yeah.
I said, dude, stay what you're doing, keep going, and all that. So So that the other one that's big in sale that translates in sales and also behind the bar is organization. What's your station look like? How do your materials look? When you go on a sales call. I mean, when you're buying something from somebody, you'd like them to be not
Organized.
disheveled.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Right? Come in, and my first job was after bartending was working as I didn't work for Cisco, but a Cisco-like operation was called SS Pierce. Mm-hmm. So I was in and out of every kitchen in Boston, and like on a Monday I would make 20 physical calls before 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. You had seconds, minutes, because there wasn't a chef on the planet that wants to talk to you.
Oh no, of course not.
Right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
you had seconds. And if you weren't organized, you didn't have your specials in line, you didn't this, that, and the other thing. And then you always had that, if you were looking for an upsell or a cross-sell, you better be quick.
Yeah.
You better have it. So, you guys, of course, I'm in a different zip code than you guys, but the flickers, the ones you let your grill, I remember when they first came out.
Yeah.
I would have one with me. Hey, by the way, did you have any of these before? No, those are cool. Give me 10.
Yeah.
So I had those types of things. I would know what specials were. I would know where I was getting my bump. Like if I got a spiff, an extra commission. As a matter of fact, when I first started working, I in that job, I made more in spiffs than I made in commissions because I just knew where the $2 a case were and all that. And so, when I went to when you work the bar, I mean, if stuff isn't within 3 feet, and you're running around like a nut, it affects everything.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Tia's was the quintessential place. It was a madhouse, number one. So it was clearly the most popular place in Boston back in those days. And on a Friday night, you get on the bar at 4:30. You would not stop until 1:30 in the morning.
It's funny, like Jess just organized the bartender championship.
Yeah.
Great job, Jess.
Thank you,
by the way,
thank you.
From what I remember, I got pretty drunk.
Sounds
They're like, try another cocktail. Try another cocktail. But I remember saying to Baby Jack, I'm like, one of the hardest things has to be like, this isn't their bar.
Yeah.
They're coming into and being like, you could see that like, where's
Yeah,
that shuffle
like,
back
okay,
and forth,
where do
being
I
like,
go?
I just
Where do I
can't
get
find
this? Where do I get that? And I just be like, don't worry about it. I'll get it for you here, and I'll just put it here, and it's all set. There it is, right there. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
But just even like, where's the cocktail shakers? Just
Yeah.
something so, like,
Basic.
oh, they're right there.
Yeah.
It's just they're so used to not having to think about it and
Yeah.
just being at arm's reach.
I know. I keep trying to drill it into my staff that organization behind the bar is so key, and if you don't do it, you just make it harder for yourself,
Right.
and therefore it's harder for everybody else. And there's certain things that we set up on the weekends that we don't set up on the weekdays just because it's not as busy.
Right.
And then when they don't do it on a Saturday morning, they don't. I don't need it. It's not going to be
Famous
busy.
last words.
Right? and then all of a sudden, before you know
No one
it,
orders
you
that
need
drink.
it,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh crap, and I'm like, this is why you just set your bar up for success. And
It's better
if
to
you don't
have it and not
then
need
you
it.
don't need it, right?
Yeah.
And then if you need it, you're happy that you did it. And sometimes it's just if you don't do it, it's just laziness on that point. Like you're just like, I don't feel like doing it. But then you're like, well, you just screwed yourself because we had a 65 walk in and now you're not ready. And that literally did happen this weekend. A party of 65 walked in.
Party of 65?
Yep, unannounced. Just walked right in.
Jeez.
What were they?
They were here to see the band. I don't think it was everybody, but most of them were here to see the band out back. But I'm like, how do you know 65 people? I don't even know. I mean, I know 3, and only 2 of you are here.
Carl.
Exactly.
I'm
See?
just like, does she not know Matt?
That's debatable.
Yeah, all right.
But it's so if you don't set yourself up. I mean, granted, you're never gonna know if a party of 65 is gonna walk in or not. But if you set yourself up,
You should live your life like a party of 65. So.
Yeah, it's true. Look, you want to expect the worst, so you want to prepare for the worst.
Well, what's the worst case? You set up and do an extra 5 minutes of work, and then you may have to break it down, not use it, and save yourself like a half hour or an hour of I want to kill myself.
Yeah,
or,
literally.
And
Yep.
I mean, but we've all done it. Like
Absolutely.
recently, we did a bong painting event at the Cannabis in Lowell, and it was their block party. It was supposed to be this big event. We didn't know what we're getting into, and
Right.
as I'm packing the car, I'm like, should I throw in a pop-up tent? I'm like, because I really don't know what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
And I was just like, No, I was outside in the parking lot. I got sunburned to shit.
Yeah,
And
same.
they're like, and they're like, we're sorry. I'm like, it's my fault. I didn't put it in the car.
Right.
You know, I thought about it, but
But yeah, having
When in
everything
doubt.
in its place.
Huh?
When in doubt.
yeah,
Right.
that's what I said. My general rule is it's better to have it and not need it than need it and
Well,
not have
especially
it.
for us fair-skinned people. And
Oh yeah,
there's
right.
always
I got
you can always need shade.
sunburn.
Like, it could be raining. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
obviously
I
it's
mean-
raining. I'll bring it too, I guess. But
when I
Bring an umbrella. It's called an
Yeah.
umbrella. not a
it's
tent.
not like one of those sunburns where you're like, oh, I'm a little sore. It's one of the sunburns where people are like, oh my god, what happened?
Are you okay? Do you in a fire?
Yeah. So it was not pretty.
Yeah.
But Neil, you were saying that your first bartending job was at the Full Sail, and I'm like, oh, and you're like the original Full Sail. I'm like, yeah, and you're like in the '70s. I'm like, oh, okay, that was that was well.
Yeah,
19.
the OG.
I was 19 years old because the drinking age was 18
Yeah.
at the time,
Yeah.
and so so I was, it was kind of after a swing and a miss at school,
Yeah,
and I was trying to figure out. So when I graduated high school, I was 17 years old. I'm the seventh of 8 of an Irish Catholic family. Nobody was paying attention at this point, and so
like
and
he
so,
made it.
literally.
is he supposed to go to school? I think he's graduated.
Literally,
Yeah.
I went to my mother in May and said, "Is there something I should be doing next year?" Like I had no plan,
Yeah,
zero. I mean, now with our kids, it was from DNA right up until they graduate. We knew what they were,
Yeah.
mapping out the situation and all that. And so I was working in a place called the Wharf, which is now called a place called Boston Sail Loft, which is on the back of the book here.
okay.
Right? And so I was working in the kitchen and busboying and washing dishes and making sandwiches and all that stuff. Made it out front inside of bar backing, or back breaking, I should call it.
Yeah,
And by the way, they didn't tip out as generously as they do today.
Yeah.
To bar backs. So it was like it was back breaking work for
Pennies.
$30
Yeah.
a night.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm watching the bartenders. They're going, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
I like you.
So I set my sights on it. So now here I am floundering. What am I going to do with my life? And I went. I knew the guy that was going to be running. The Full Sail. So, point of context, I grew up summering in White House Beach.
Yep.
I grew up on Avenue B,
Yeah.
and kicked off my shoes
Right
when
there.
I got there on whatever it was after school, and put them back on Labor Day.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
So you live literally right across the street.
oh yeah,
Avenue B is right.
yeah, I was like
Yeah.
right around the
I know.
corner. And so, so I knew the guy that was going to manage it. So I figured I'll go down and ask Peter for a bar job, because we had started doing some function stuff. Me and a buddy of mine. You guys know Charlie Blitzer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlie.
So
Yeah.
Charlie grew up on Abington Ave,
Yes. Yeah.
Avenue C, Avenue B.
Yeah.
So we've known each other for 50 plus years.
I love Charlie.
And
Good
so, anyways, he says, listen, it's only 3 jobs. I mean, because there used to be a patio, so they needed more people, 2 guys behind the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was inside 55 capacity.
Yeah.
Of course, Friday night. Of course,
Yeah, it's not a big place.
Friday nights we jam 120 in there.
Sure. Yeah.
Walking around like that. And so I literally poured my first drink. I remember it was a sea breeze, and Peter, of course, had given me the tips on how to look good doing
Yeah.
it. Pour with authority, and the whole 9 yards. And he's actually acknowledged in the book. And so so I gave it the drink. I says, that's pretty good. So I had that immediate feedback. And I
Yeah.
said, and my self-esteem was pretty low at this point, having failed in school and really having no direction. I said, maybe I can be good at something. And so I developed, into my interpersonal skills helped up dramatically. And there's a book by a guy's name is Howard Gardner, and he talks about the 7 types of intelligence that, as he defines it.
Yeah.
And one of them is interpersonal intelligence.
Sure.
And intrapersonal intelligence, so self-aware, be able to work with people. And then, was I a complete dummy? No, but I mean, my academic intelligence was middle of the road at best.
Yeah.
Right? But then I developed into a very good student once I figured out what my path was going to be. So the Full Sail was the first, and it became a real fraternity of ours. I mean, we still get together to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, being a commuter student, my fraternity is brothers and sisters of the people that I worked with in the bar business. I didn't have
the industry fraternity.
Yeah, the industry people are
bonded in blood.
It's a weird like
blood and booze.
Well, the first quote I open up here is, which is very germane to the conversation, is written by Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
You can always tell when a person has worked in a restaurant. There's an empathy that can only be cultivated by those who stood between a hungry mouth and a $28 pork chop. A special understanding of the way of a bunch of motley misfits can be a family.
Yeah.
Service industry work develops those soft skills recruiters talk about on LinkedIn: discipline, promptness, the ability to absorb criticism, and most important, how to read people like a book. The work is thankless and fun and messy, and the world would be a kinder place if more people tried it. With all due respect to my former professors, I've long believed I gained more knowledge in kitchens, bars, and dining rooms than any college could ever hold.
Yeah.
It's
Mic drop.
yeah. You know, and I mean, it's one of those things that there's something about being in a bar. My father always said every job he ever got, he got at a bar room. And I mean, there was times when I first got divorced, paying child support, you're not ready for that. And I just remember turning down the bar and being like, hey, are you guys hiring? He's like, start Wednesday. I'm like, cool, see you Wednesday. Like, it's something about the camaraderie, and you get to read people, and okay, like, that's a guy that I don't mind hiring off of like a, hey, are you hiring? Opposed to there's guys in bars that you'd be like, hey, are you hiring? No, we're good.
Yeah.
We're all set.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of, I don't know. And there's been so many business deals and like potential like.
I sell a book every time I sit in a bar.
Right.
I mean, it's that, and just like, oh, hey, I run this business. Oh, hey, maybe we can work together. And it's something about it. Just people's guards are down. It doesn't feel high pressure sales. And
people that sit at bars, in my view, people that sit at bars and countertops want to engage.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not hiding, and they're not putting baby in the corner.
Yeah.
Right? They want to chat. Funny story. We were in Georgetown. My son Cam, Cam, lives in the DC area, but he stayed up here at our place, and he loves this place, and fly down and the whole bit. And wants his birthday party. Yeah, we need to talk about
Yes.
that. So he wanted me to cover that because he wants to send out printed invitations.
Oh my gosh.
So we stay at the Ritz-Carlton. Again, my daughter put us up at the Ritz-Carlton. Neil's not paying that kind of money for the Ritz-Carlton. But I did buy a round of drinks for the 4 guys that were left.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
Right. So the next day, I come down and I go see the front desk people. This is where peripheral knowledge, which is in the book, comes into play. And peripheral knowledge are those things about the area that your people know. That what goes on, what should we do today, and talk about a place. So anyways, I said, by the way, is there a place within a quarter mile or half mile walking distance where I can get a Bud Light, let's say, for less than $10? She goes, yeah, go to Clyde's.
Yeah.
All right, so I go to Clyde's, and then it turns out it's a really famous bar down there.
Yeah.
So I walk in, 1 seat left at the bar. Anybody here? The guy's kind of got his back to me a little bit. And he goes, no, it's all you.
Yeah.
So I think he's engaged over here. So cool bar, really old Irish style with the not very deep behind the bar.
Right.
I mean, it's like you got to go outside to change your mind.
Yeah.
So the guy, so then this guy finally, he kind of turns to me and he says, we start talking. He says, I said, so what brings you to town? He says, my son plays lacrosse. Oh, does he play for Georgetown? He goes, no, he plays for Providence. Oh, okay. So you're up my way. Where do you live? Just outside. I grew up just outside of Boston. Where? About 6 miles over. What town? Melrose. What's your name? Kid from Melrose.
Yeah.
Paul Cusolito. I graduated with his sister.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's so funny.
But that's it's just the. No.
We when last time we were out in Vegas, Carl's like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this tiki
Oh,
bar. Love this place." But like when we first walked in, the woman's like, "You guys can sit anywhere." Carl's response was, "Who said that?" It was the darkest building I've ever been in that had electricity.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there for like, I don't know, it was like half an hour when your eyes are finally getting accustomed. And I don't remember how the conversation started with the guy like behind us.
Oh yeah, because we had our
the passes on for the bar expo, and he's like, "Oh, you guys go to that?" Like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, I work in the industry." He's like, "But I didn't go to that." He's the guy that invented those cups that you like put on the thing, and the beer fills up from the bottom.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And we're like, "Why are you here?"
Yeah. I went to Ireland, this was years ago, and I met a guy at a bar in Doolin, which is this tiny, tiny, tiny little town. And there's like 5 shops on Main Street. One of them's a bar. The next bar is a mile away. There's only one taxi in town. So you had to walk there. I mean, it was tiny, tiny, tiny. And I was sitting at the bar, and somebody asked me where I was from. And I was like, "Oh, I'm from Boston." And then I just hear some guy like tell the other one. He's like, "Did you just say you were from Boston?" And I said, "Yeah." And he comes running and he was like, "Where?" And I go, "Well, just outside of Boston." I was like, "I'm from Plymouth." He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I go, "No, why?" And he's like, "I'm from Kingston." I was like, "What?"
I had
this
almost
tiny
the
little
exact
bar,
same
like,
thing,
what the
yeah. On my honeymoon, we were on a cruise in Europe.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big trivia fan, so we went to the trivia, and they're like, "Oh, where's everyone from?" And blah blah. "Oh, we're from Boston." Da da da. They get to us. "Oh, we're from Boston." So then after, you're like obligated to go, "Are you really from Boston?"
Right. Yeah.
And we're like, "No, we're from the South Shore." And the one's like, "Where?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I think at the time we were living in Pembroke." And I'm like, "Yeah, I work in rock and whatever." She's like, "At Stop and Shop." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "I thought you looked familiar." Yeah, and
It's so weird.
I'm in like Denmark or wherever the hell you are. So crazy. You just never know. Like who? It's kind of like, and sitting at the bar, it's kind of a great equalizer. Like,
Right.
you're just a guy at a bar. No one really gives a shit what kind of car you drove in.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I know. And
Yeah.
I feel like people who work in the industry can read people so well that that's like a trait that I carry in life. Like,
All right, so I'm sitting with 3 professional bartenders. What is the number one red flag when someone sits down where you're like, this guy's going to be a goddamn problem?
Oh,
If they don't
let me
engage.
list the ways.
Yeah.
If they don't engage.
Yeah, if they're not, if you can tell right. I mean,
Yeah, if like you try to engage to them to even just take an order and they're just like they completely ignore you and you're like, "Oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll come back when you're ready." Like, I don't know. Like, that's true. Because I feel like I
said
get that
one
quite
red flag. I
often.
feel like Dan's like
I'm
lining them up.
Yeah.
I've never seen Dan smile
Yeah.
so much.
Shades of red.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50 Shades of Red flags.
You can tell how someone's going to be by just how they pull their chair out from the bar and sit down. Like, I think you can get a good read right off that. There's a big
I'd
body
love to see a
language.
visual of like the various ones from you later.
So, all right, I'll probably
Because it's not good.
It's not good radio, but it's funny that you say that. Like, long before I was born, my mother had broken her leg, and for whatever reason, they had to go back. She broke it in, she's from Pennsylvania, but my parents were living up here. For whatever reason, they kept having to go back to Pennsylvania.
Cool. Were
But
the Amish working on her, and that's
maybe. I don't know. I wasn't allowed. But my mom developed this game about you could tell how long people were going to stay based on how much of their ass was on the bar stool. And she'd be like, "He's here for 1 beer." "Oh, that guy's here all day."
leaning back.
Yeah, leaning back, got his coats off.
Yeah. Shoes off.
The other
feet
guy's
up.
just got like 1 foot on the foot post or whatever. And, yeah. So, but
I can still to this day. I haven't poured a drink behind a bar since I was 28 years old, and I'll be 65 next month. I get on Medicare, man, and so I can still tell who the crazies are.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very easy.
Oh yeah.
Very easy.
Usually they're talking to me. That's a defining.
No,
if you start talking to me, I'm like, here we go.
I mean, trouble crazy. You know what I mean? Not just somebody a little off.
Yeah, that's kind of 50-50.
The eyes tell all.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't say what your red flag was. We cut you off.
I just did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You did. Yeah,
It's all body language.
Sorry,
you can tell.
Yeah.
You learn in this industry how to read body language very well.
Yep.
And you can see who's gonna take a minute to open up, who's coming in hot, who's reserved, who wants to talk. Like I said, body language is
From the patron side,
Yep.
I don't like people that you can tell are super anxious to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
That resonates.
I mean, there's times when I'm bored. I want to go, no one's around. I'm going to go down the bar. I know I'm going to see someone, have a conversation, whatever. But there's just some people that are just vibrating, wanting to talk to people, and you're just like, oh, I definitely don't want to talk to that person.
Yeah.
It's going to be a thing.
Well, I feel like the same it's not as often, but I feel like the same could go for the other way around. Like bartenders that just want to chew your ear off, but that's not what you're there for. Like, there's been times where I've gone to a bar and they're like, so what are you here for? I'm like, I'm here to be alone.
I was gonna say, is this outside Massachusetts? I'm assuming.
Like, I'm here to be alone. I'm here to be not bothered. Oh well, blah 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 blah. My dog and this. I'm like, no, I'm good. Can I get my cat, please? Like,
and that's a hazard of the industry too.
I actually didn't. I had a very stressful Saturday, and I didn't go out. And the main reason why I didn't go out was because I didn't want to see anybody that I knew.
Oh,
yes,
I feel that.
There's a phenomenal place for that. So I went through a breakup, and my friend's like, "Sounds like you need to get out of the house." I'm like, "I do," and she's like, "Where do you want to go?" I'm like, "Anywhere that I'm not Andy from Inebriart."
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be known. She goes, "How about Bertucci's?" I'm like, "Perfect. Let's go to Bertucci's."
I almost went to the 99,
I forgot
actually,
that place existed.
Ryan Reedy works there.
Bertucci's great.
I don't trust anywhere in this 5-mile vicinity that I won't run into someone I don't know.
I literally was like, all I want to go is just sit and have a cold draft beer. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll go here. Nope. Maybe I'll go here. Nope.
No, so-and-so works there. No,
and then I'm like,
so-and-so
okay,
works
well,
there.
then if I go anywhere outside of this bubble, I'm going to be further away from home.
Right.
And that's never a good idea, because if I'm in a bad mood, who knows how many I'm going to have to drink. And then I was like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to go home. And I just I bought a 6-pack of Angry Orchard, and I just sat on my couch and drank instead.
I had, in my heyday of destroying this town when drinking, I had a bar that I would go to, and I will not name this bar just in case I decide to take this tactic back up. But I always said, if you saw me at this bar, it's because I am blackout drunk, and I'm there because it's my safe spot because nobody knows me. I can't be judged.
Dying to know what it
Yeah.
is. I think I have a...
Is this an off-air that you'll tell us?
I don't know, maybe, because you guys will go there. But then,
Yeah, but
you say that, blackout drunk, you'll be there. So.
If I'm going to go there, I'll text you and be like, Mahoney, are you there? If you are,
And
be
you
like,
get
all
back
right,
and
I'll
text
let
us
you-
and you're like,
It's
all right.
usually be after day drinking videos anyway.
Yeah.
So.
We'll have joint custody of the thing.
No,
So
we
you
can-
get it
we
one
can
week,
share.
I'll get it the next week.
I'll tell it off there.
Where do you work?
I work in South Boston, Stats Bar and Grill now. So I vacated this area
Yes.
to, I don't want to say greener pastures, but to less known pastures.
Yes.
But you were a long time BBC.
Yeah, I worked at the British Beer Company forever.
What felt like forever.
We had time and emotionally.
Yeah.
But I worked at a bunch of their places, but most recently would have been the little one over here,
Yep.
Middle Street.
Yep.
Right. Honing my skills.
Neil, is there one place that you worked at that was more stressful, bizarre than the others? Like, you don't have to name names, but like, is there one that stands out being like, yeah, I would never work at that place again?
No, actually, I was very happy with the places I worked at, and they were in their own little way. They're iconic. I mean, if you're a certain age, you mentioned the Full Sail. Everybody knows the Full Sail.
Yeah.
I used to drink Grabbers. You know the story? You know what a grabber is?
No.
So the Guana Grabber was the drink that Peter, the guy that I was speaking of in the book, and his guy, this other guy, Glenn Justice, who, by the way, used to own the fan club.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And Bridget used to work there.
Yep.
Yeah. So I took a picture of Bridget and sent it to Glenn. So Glenn and I worked together back at Full Sail. So they went down. They took their sailboat and sailed the inland waterways, and somewhere along the line wound up in the island of Guana. Exactly where it is, I don't know. And discovered this drink, Guana Grabber, which was light rum, dark rum, coconut rum, pineapple, pink grapefruit, and orange juice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a Carl drink.
Yeah. That's
Shake it up.
Yeah.
And go. I've never seen it. Everybody keeps people that know of that time speak about the drink. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
It's,
Certain places do have those drinks, like the Rejuvenator.
Yeah.
Kind of iconic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, people have a play on it, but it's never the same than it was, back in the T-Bones days. Yeah, never the same.
But they were all pretty cool. I mean, Tia's was an iconic place.
Yeah.
Again, I could be anywhere in the country if they've been to Boston.
Yeah.
And you're of a certain age. Now it's kind of changed a little. It's changed.
It's still there in Boston?
Yeah. So last year I went. I showed up. I went to see Tom Jones.
Oh. Looky.
Just so I could hear It's Not Unusual.
Right.
Yeah.
It's online.
One song and I'm done.
Yeah.
I only stayed. It was at the Orpheum, so I wound up on Atlantic Ave, and I looked at it, and so I found a spot. He said, "It's only a quarter mile. I'll park right here. I'll walk up, and I'll eat either at the sail loft or across the park at Tia's." So I wanted the sail loft, better food. And I looked there, the bar was full. I said, "All right, so I don't want to sit there." So I went over to Tia's, and the back in the day, when we got those jobs, it was an inquisition to get one of these jobs. 3 interviews, grueling questions, all that. And
Now you just have to show up, right?
Right. I think is harder than because people just don't show up.
So it's so I walked in, and let's just say it had changed,
Yeah.
and the quality of the folks behind. I mean, back in the day, this was probably all sorts of discrimination, but if you weren't 5'8" to 5'10", blonde hair, blue eyed, you were not a cocktail waitress at Tia's.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of. Even something like Dunkin' Donuts. I remember when I was a kid, if you were a male, you did not work at Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh yeah. At Mary Lou's, same thing.
That was even more recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you were a male, you didn't get hired. If you were a specific look for Mary Lou's, yeah, same thing. I mean, look, we've talked about that kind of stuff before, but same thing with R.I.P. T-Bones. I mean, they would have, they didn't want certain people looking a certain way. They wanted it cute little girls with bouncy boobs and bouncy personalities.
I miss T-Bones.
Right?
I do kind of miss. I like T-Bones.
It was good in its own little way. Yeah, absolutely.
But you guys have taken that over.
So that's different. What's that?
You've taken that over. I think that afternoon
Bouncy
music
boobs
scene.
and bouncy personalities.
No, I mean, I used to like it because of the afternoon, Saturday afternoon music. And I'm good 4 to 8.
Totally
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of the T-Bones crowd has migrated to New World for sure, but not in my mind. Ever since I first moved to Plymouth, T-Bones had a totally different vibe to it because I remember coming out of places on a Tuesday night and there's a brawl out front. You're like, it's Tuesday. What the hell is going on? So that was just kind of like how I thought of T-Bones, which lots of other people are like, hey, great breakfast. I'm like, I don't go to that place because every time I ever did, it was a disaster.
That place is wild, or was wild, because it had
It was an
every
enigma.
kind of crowd
Yeah.
possible.
It really was an
Biker
enigma.
bar, family bar, country bar.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew people
Dance
every
club,
weekend.
like,
They took,
yeah.
They took
Anything you want, you find. Just pick a night, and you might find that at T-Bones.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It was kind of an enigma. And it kind of just happened naturally, like, because, again, I worked there for 3.5 years, like, when they first opened. And it kind of just happened on its own. It's not like the owners really, like, pushed for one thing or another. Like, he did really push for, like, the late night, like, dance crowd, because nothing was like that around here at the time. But other than that, like, it kind of just made its own thing on its own, which was pretty cool. But
Here's a 6 degrees of separation for you.
Yeah.
Ryan Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
I worked with him at Tia's.
Really? Ah, That's funny.
He was probably 25, and I was 23.
Yeah.
I used to call him boy manager.
I know, it's like 6 degrees of separation for most of us in the industry, I think.
Yeah, it's a
6
small,
degrees might be
small
even
world.
a little...
Do you know
long.
what ultimately happened there? I know that COVID hurt him in Boston.
I think... I mean, I don't know exactly what happened. I just know that I think the owners were just kind of done. You know, I mean, like a lot of people with COVID, they were like, you know, they reevaluated their priorities maybe, and they were like, you know what, it's time to get out of the game, time to, you know, start closing stuff down. I mean, I know British Beer Company was pretty much about that.
Yep.
Like, you know, they're like, it's time, I think, for us to wash our hands clean of the industry. And they tried to hold on for T-Bones, but I just think ultimately, you know, the commitment wasn't there all around, and Colin couldn't really do it on his own. And
It would have been tough to do with all like the reopening regulations. That would have just killed what T-Bones was too.
yeah, and that's why he didn't reopen. I know for a fact he just was like, if I can't have it be the way it was, I'm not going to reopen at all. And I think I understand where he was coming from, but at the same time, I think it just sucked for everybody that was just so anxious to get back there.
Yeah.
But I mean, even just the setup of the place, it would have been difficult to like have all those barriers and have all this stuff. And it's just, man. I mean, when I was working corporate when COVID hit, and thank God I did, because I don't think I would have been able to do it in a small, you know, privately owned bar. Like, it's just I'm having PTSD.
Don't do
Like,
it.
Yeah.
Stay away from the you know what
yeah,
word.
like it's
Yeah.
just.
I will tell you, and I've said, I wish you would say, I've said it to him directly. This place saved me during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I get in my car, and I mean, so we would about Tuesday, my sister-in-law, my brother lives right on the corner from me on Alton Street, we'd start planning our dinner menu for Saturday night on Tuesday, just to stop making ourselves feel better. I get in my car on Thursday, and I would go to Donahue's in Watertown.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah.
So John Donahue,
Yep.
has a place in Whitehorse Beach.
Yep.
Amy, his wife, was here with me yesterday, and so I would go just to support him. I'd have a meal,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't drink. So I'm driving down here. Have a soda water, have a meal. I'd buy a piece of swag, and I'd come
Right.
down here. And Carl, to his credit, kept the music playing.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
like, oh my God, this
yeah.
is just the greatest.
I mean, people just desperately wanted to get back to normalcy, and I think something as small as just music,
Yeah.
or
And
or even smaller than that, was just camaraderie and being around people again. And I mean, there'd be times I'd go to Lucioso's and they'd have the barriers up, between people, and we'd be talking to people through the barriers, and then finally we was like, we're just gonna take these off and we just put them on the floor. And we're like, we don't care, like, we're putting ourselves at risk, whatever, no big whoop, but like, we just wanted to talk to
it was
people.
such a weird, like, because you want to do the right thing. I remember I was walking down my street, and this is like in the height of lockdown.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, we don't even know what the hell's going on.
right.
And this woman's like talking to someone, and like sitting in the passenger seat of a car, just like, excuse me. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, can I ice you? And I'm like, oh my God, please do. So I'm on the side of the road just chugging a Smirnoff Ice, and I'm like, this makes me so happy right now.
I kind of want to do that just now.
It was the funniest
Just
thing.
drive around with
But it was like when there was,
Yeah.
it's like when you could look down Main Street and there was just like no
Yeah,
one. It
it's
was
just a
just
ghost
so
town.
like, oh my God, this is such a weird human
Yeah.
interaction thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That you just need that.
Yeah.
So there's a book that I reference in our book. It's called The Happiness Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The Happiness Advantage was a study done by this guy, Sean Acor, 12 years at Harvard, about how people get happier. You know, how much of your happiness can you control? It's quite a lot. It's 90% of it.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's that, and then he talks about, he did some further study, and he said that your long-term happiness, this is what they found in the study, your long-term happiness and your longevity is directly related to the depth and the breadth of your social interactions.
Yeah.
Jess, you're screwed. You only know 3 people.
I know. I'm fucked.
You're lucky to make it to the end of the
I'm
day.
coming to mend that for a long time here.
I'll give you some of my people, Jess.
Oh, yay!
So, Neil, give us the number 1 tip in bar tips. What's one
Taking
thing?
ownership when something goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like that.
So, years ago, back in the food business, there was a guy. He's a local guy too. He lives here in town. His name is Jim Gallahue, and he was a rep. After he left SS Pierce, he did something on his own, and then he wound up at Cisco, a big deal at Cisco. And he was kind of a wise guy, real, river, whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think I guess he's at least 10 years older than I am. I think he's close to 75. And but you got him in front of a client. Different guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different guy. He knew his products. He was organized. He was on time. He memorized half the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I got some of it too. 028092.
Yeah.
14-ounce bottle ketchup.
Right, yeah.
73484 sugar packets.
Yeah.
Right? So what you would do in order to get on the road is that you covered people's routes when they went on vacation, and then you finally got a territory. So I got a territory in Boston. And one of his biggest piece of advice he gave me, and he's acknowledged in the book, and he's acknowledged in that I changed his name in the chapter, is that whenever anything goes wrong, start here first.
Yeah.
What was my role in this? How could have I done better? So then you're not lashing out, blaming, victimhood, all that stuff. The guys in the truck messed it up. Oh, the picker did that. Nope. Get your ass in the car and go get the shit that the people need and go deliver it.
Yeah.
Or whatever the problem was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Just solve it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And don't ever let you, as a restaurant manager, know what happened. Just handle it.
Yeah. You've always said that if no one knows that there's fires to put out, you've done your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
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 That's
Nobody
the biggest
knows.
thing
Yeah.
from a manager's standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
going to R&D that. You know what that is?
Research and development.
Rip off and duplicate.
If I can contribute to someone's life one way.
Before noon on a Monday.
Before my first cup of coffee.
I know, right?
That, or as it were.
So this is last call, Neil. This is where we go around the table and we get to plug whatever we like. So I'm going to start with Mahoney.
Well, I was.
And Dan rarely plugs things. He usually shits on something.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Well, no, I'm gonna shed a new idea to this world.
Ah, all right.
So the C word came up in this podcast. It's perfect timing for me.
Which C word?
I know.
COVID.
It wasn't the one I was
We're
thinking.
gonna revamp
know.
how time works.
Ooh. We're gonna do a time
BC's
machine?
no longer whatever it really stands for. It's before COVID.
Yeah.
Because that's where everyone starts with their time. Like, well, before
Yeah.
COVID, this. After COVID, this.
I hate when people ask me, "Oh, how long have you been doing this?" And you're like,
Now you say
"Do I
five
count
BC.
COVID or like do I not count the year that I did nothing?" Like
So there you go. I just gave you a new
There you
way to
go.
do it.
See?
5 BC.
5 BC.
5
Got it.
before COVID.
I like it, Dan.
Yep.
Everyone's
AC.
gonna adopt that. Jess,
Yeah.
what do you got?
Let's see. Well, at the New World Tavern, we're doing The Voice of Plymouth. It's starting next week, but it'll be on for 4 weeks. And anybody who wants to sing and be a part of it, you can win up to $500 in cash and be the next Voice of Plymouth. And all you got to do is
You get
sign
a record
up.
deal on Heine Records.
Yeah. All you have to do is sign up. It's $10 to enter because we got to pay Jeff Rosen to just babble for 5 hours.
Hey, that $10 for Jeff Rosen.
Right,
That's a
I'd
bargain.
pay that. Yeah. And then you just sing a couple songs, and you got judges from the music community that'll, just kind of critique whatever. But 3 people in each round get to the finale, and then you could win $500 in cash for having a good voice. So if you guys want to enter, you can go to our Facebook page and click on the events and find it, and there's a link to get the tickets and sign up. But we had a ton
People
of
are
fun
calling
last
right now.
year.
Look,
I know, right? Yeah, it was so much fun last year. Jeff Rosen did an amazing job. He's just a character, and he really made it fun. And And then in the finale we have in the back, so we have like the lights on and it's on the stage, and you feel like a rock star up there, and so if anybody's interested in singing and winning some cash, sign up for the Voice of Plymouth.
Cool.
Yeah.
Neil, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Ironically enough, I have a new book that's been out.
You wrote a book?
I did,
yeah. Cool.
And it's called Bar Tips. Everything I needed to know in sales, I learned behind the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it's nothing to be afraid of. I wrote a book that I could read. Simple concepts that I think will change your life. So it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and many other major retailers.
Cool.
Nice.
And now the Plymouth General Store.
Outstanding.
Oh, nice.
Yes, go check out the Plymouth General Store.
As of 10:30 this morning.
Perfect.
I've been sitting here the whole time being like, what do I want to plug? I'm trying to remember when this is coming out. But I'm going to say the Hometown Haunts and Hops.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Because I know what you're going to say. Just say it.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it this one or on the
I
next
was about
one.
to plug it for him.
I know, right?
But it is our first, hopefully, annual horror convention. We're already starting to plan next year. We have celebrities, podcasts, vendors, spooky stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be at the Mayflower Brewing Company on October 28th from noon to 8 p.m. with a after party here at New World Tavern.
Whoop, whoop.
And we're going to have Bayside High playing there.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And check it out. It's getting like traction. Like we've been written up in articles. And I don't know.
Yeah,
how
I saw the
I don't know
other
how
day.
it happened. Like there are a few that I'm like I know how that happened. So that's it's getting pretty exciting.
Sweet.
We might have caskets.
Can I have one?
Yeah.
No.
Not for
Can I
that
have
day.
a used
Can I just
one?
use it after?
You can talk to the casket company.
I want a used one.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have a photo booth that's a padded room and
nice.
all sorts of creepy stuff. So a great way to kick off your Halloween weekend.
It's spooky season.
It's spooky, guys. So you can follow us on all social medias at BarTalkCast. You can email bartalkcast@gmail.com with all your questions, complaints, hate mail.
I know.
Ever
I'm
since
really
Jordan's
upset.
been on, we haven't been getting hate mail.
You only offended one group of people.
Yeah.
Like, the easiestly
What,
offended ones.
a group of people meaning like a race?
No. People that call themselves mixologists, yeah.
Oh.
But so
We'll
like
talk
even
about
if you
that
miss
next.
Jordan, you can email us and we'll tell them how much you hate him.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much it. Bye.
So long.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/inebriart to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at inebriart.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at inebriart or at inebriart6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebriart, and all the other shows on the Inebriart Network, which you can find at inebriart.com. Thanks again for listening.